Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in this session on cross-cultural negotiation techniques, which is a long phrase already. We are going to be informed about how to do that and how to feel in that process of negotiation by our next speaker. But first I'd like to ask you a question. If you have any questions for our speaker, please send them in through Slido, which is in the event app. So open up your event app and you will find there the possibility to send in questions, and then at the end of his session, or maybe even during the session, you can ask those questions, or we see what is the list of questions that you have. So that was my question to you. And now it's time to introduce our speaker, which is not only a cross-cultural expert, but he's also a rock drummer. And his name is Pellegrino Riccardi. Pellegrino.
Thank you very much. Okay. Good. Thank you for coming to my session here today. I'd like to start, first of all, by putting this word up here. I'm actually educated as a linguist. Language is my thing. I think you get a lot of meaning from words. And when you look at a word like negotiation, if you look at the root of that word, you get a very, I think, insightful meaning about what the word actually means. It comes from Latin, and it basically means no leisure. No leisure. But not a lot of people know it. In other words, negotiation is hard work. It's not easy. Good negotiation. And by the way, we do it every day. Everybody negotiates on a daily basis. So what I'm going to talk about is normal interactions between people, not necessarily sitting, one side of a table and talking to each other. It's the interaction, the negotiations we have on a daily basis. But it's no leisure. It's hard work. And I'd like to make it a little bit easier for you. So by the end of my talk, I hope you get some nice tools on how to interact better with people from different nationalities. A lot of people ask me, why do I tell people I'm a rock musician? Because that's how I started my life. I used to keep it hidden before, but I don't anymore. And I really was in a group, and I'd like to start with a story. It's an important story. I took this photograph. We were actually supporting quite a well-known band in 1993. In Madrid, there were 80,000 people. Of course, not one single person was there to see our band. Of course, they were there to see the other band, but I still like this photograph. The reason I show this photograph is because soon after this, I played at a concert in Norway, which is where I met my wife. She moved with me to the UK, where I was raised. So my Norwegian wife was there for 2 years, and after 2 years, my Norwegian wife said she wanted to go home back to Norway. Is anyone from Norway in the audience, by the way? Any Norwegians here? If there were a Norwegian in the room now, they would tell you that they love their country. They'd probably love their country more than any other nationality on the planet. She said, come home with me. I was a bit skeptical. I was not receptive. This word is very receptive. If you're going to negotiate with people, you need to make them receptive, open. So when she said to me, come to Norway, I will make you happy, I wasn't very receptive to those words. Why not? Because we were sitting on a beach in Italy at the time. And I kept imagining to myself, what would a beach in Norway look like right now? And all I could think of was this image in my head, right? So receptiveness, I was not receptive. Those words didn't go in. And if you're going to negotiate and interact with people, you've got to open them up, you've got to make them receptive. That's why cultural knowledge is important. The ability to speak to them in a way which they're used to, right? My wife is a very clever woman. She works in the communications industry today. She knows that if I can make this man receptive and say the same words, he might listen to me. I'm going to show you a very private part of my life now. I always get a bit nervous before I show this part. Are you ready? This is my 30th birthday party. It was a great birthday party. It was a toga champagne party with lots of friends. Jacuzzi, spa, great. This is me towards the end of the evening. Can you see I'm a little bit more receptive now? Can you see that? Because my wife used the same word. She comes up to me and says, come to Norway, I will make you happy. I said, okay, and 1 year later, I'm learning to ski, right? Shoom. Really fast. Good. Nobody managed to take a photo of that. Excellent. Receptiveness is very, very important. So how do we make receptive? We've got to understand what are the barriers to making people receptive. So let's look at that. Now, look at my name, Pellegrino Riccardi. Any Italians here today, by the way? Good. Where am I from, or where are my parents from in Italy? Do you know by my name? Pellegrino is a strange name. Nobody uses it anymore. My parents are Italian, both of them. They come from Napoli. Have you heard of Napoli? What is Napoli famous for? Be honest. Pizza? Mafia? Anything else? Garbage? Who said garbage? That wasn't very nice. I ask the same question all over the world. Look at the answers I get. People say pizza, mafia, and garbage. Well done, yes. So people know exactly everything they need to know about Napoli, right? Right? Of course not. I travel all over the world. I've been doing it for 30 years, and I like to play with people. I like to see what the barriers are to getting through to them. I like doing social experiments with people. My favorite at the moment is sneaking in a little phrase when I talk to people. This is the phrase. And I say it in various ways. When I say it with my British accent, because I was raised in the UK, a place called Bath. Have you heard of Bath? It's very posh. Can you hear it? Yes. And when I speak English like this, it makes me sound intelligent. I know it does. I was sitting at the airport and a guy said to me, I just need to pop to the toilet, can you watch my stuff? I said to him in my British accent, no problem mate, you can trust me. Your bags will still be here. Off he went. Sometimes I say it with another accent. Are you ready? You don't need to hear it actually because you've already heard it in your head. You know what it sounds like and you know what you're going to react like, most of you at least, right? You can trust me. Don't worry, your bags will still be here when you come back, you can trust me. That's when I get some very strange reactions. And I'm watching the Italians now, because the Italians do this now. They go, oh, God. It's really annoying, right? It's really annoying. Any Germans in the room? Any Germans in the room? Great. It would have been better if I'd have said it with a German accent, right? You sure about that? Why were we shocked about this? The actions of a few people spoiling it for everybody else, right? Why were we shocked? Because of culture. Because we were shocked by the Volkswagen because it didn't fit that image of Germans that we think we have. For me, it was just a reminder that Germans are people too. And they do good things and they do bad things, just like everybody else. So let's have a look at culture. If you're going to get people to be receptive, what is culture, all right? It's a system of behavior that helps us act in an accepted or familiar way. Those words there, accepted and familiar. Accepted, familiar, us. How does it work? Well, it means that, you go into a bank in another country and you're supposed to stand in line. Have you seen this system of behavior before? Yes, you have. You know how to stand in line. You go and click on the button here and you wait for your number to come up, right? No shock there. You walk into a shop in Spain. Do you know how you're going to queue up here? Yeah, it doesn't take long. You take the ticket, you wait for your number. Accepted and familiar. We've seen them before, no reaction. But have you seen this one before? Okay, so I go into this office in Brazil. It's slightly different, right? And that moment of delay when you need to work out what's going on, that's the bit that causes the friction. Now you're starting to react and you're starting to close a bit. Sound familiar, right? Nothing more complicated. So people who say that their culture is somehow better, more efficient, no, it's what you're used to. It's what's accepted and familiar in your world. But it doesn't make it better or worse, it's different. All right? So we have to understand this first. And what you take for granted is not necessarily taken for granted for others, okay? And when we sit across a table with people negotiating, we take things for granted. When I went to Oslo, where I live now in Norway, has anyone been to Oslo? Has anyone been there? It's quiet, isn't it? Sunday morning, I'm going to take a little walk in Oslo, thinking I'm going to see life and people. Look at this. Not much going on. I asked the Norwegian where everybody was. His answer was the last thing I would ever have imagined. He said to me, they're probably in the forest. What? Yeah, they're in the forest, the Norwegian forest. Norwegians love wandering around forests, especially on their days off. Skiing, walking, okay? Completely normal to them. My father comes to visit, my father from Napoli. My Norwegian wife, it's a Sunday, asks my father, would you like to take a walk in the forest? Completely normal. My father steps back and says, why? And I have to explain to my wife, in the south of Italy, if you say to another person, hey, you want to take a walk in the forest, okay? It means something else. How on earth could she know this? No way. And then it's time to introduce this word in. Because my wife said to me, I didn't mean to be so disrespectful. I said, you're not being disrespectful at all. What do you mean? I said, well, first you need to understand what the word respect means. Does anyone know what respect actually means, where it comes from? We know what it means, but where does it come from? Again, another Latin word, beautiful word, it means to look again. To look again. Spectator, spectacle, spectrum, look. Re is rewind, repeat, again, look again. So respect is looking at people, and then before you conclude on their actions, you take a little deep breath or a pause and you look at them again from another angle. You try to find out what is it you're really looking, what is it you want to do and why you want to do it. This is the number one rule of good negotiators. They are great perspective takers. They're able to look at the actions of people without judgment. Try to find out why is it you want what you want. Without me judging you, why is it you want what you want? But sometimes it's difficult to respect. And I'd like to do a little test now, actually. So I'm going to get us to do a little test. I'm going to put you inside a situation just to show you how different people can think around the world, right? Imagine that you are the passenger in a car which is being driven by your best friend. Okay? Now there's going to be a question at the end of this, so you'll need your phones ready soon, eh? But first let's describe the situation. You're the passenger in a car which is being driven by your best friend. Everybody imagine their best friend. Your best friend hits a pedestrian. It's an accident. There's no alcohol involved, no drugs involved, there's no suicide attempts, there's no kids involved. Those are all the questions I get. Eh? It's an accident. Now, you know that your friend was driving at 50 in a 30 zone. You know that, okay? There is no doubt whatsoever. So your friend was speeding. There are no witnesses, so nobody saw the accident. I was doing this in Shanghai once. That was a problem, you know. Impossible. Oh, somebody saw. Took me 5 minutes to, yeah. And your friend's lawyer mentions that if you were in to testify under oath that your best friend was driving at 30, it might save him or her from serious consequences. Everybody understand the situation? Okay, can we get the questions up on the board here, our Slido friends? Because I've got some questions. Let's see if we get them up. Oh, great. Question number 1. Does your best friend have a right to expect you to lie? And you have 3 options there. Could you answer the questions, please? Using your mobile for your Slido. Who's got it operating? Let's have it. Can I just look around, people looking a bit blank here? Oh, no, here we go. Does your friend have a right to expect you to lie? We do this. This is a great tool, by the way, because we can do it anonymously, right? Yeah. If you ask people to put their hands up, they all start looking around to check, yeah? Okay. Are we good? They add up to, yeah? Oh, a few more coming in. How long do we give them hands, usually?
20 seconds. 20
okay.
seconds.
Oh, look. Oh. Quite interesting, the last one. There are a few more people popping up there in the last one, yeah? Okay.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Close the voting.
Great. Excellent. Okay, so we've got a slight majority in the top, the middle. Fine. Remember those 48, 38, 14. I have one more question. You ready? Here comes the next question. Next question. Would you lie in court to help your friend? Yes, I would. No, keep the Slido up, the Slido. Would you lie in court to help your friend? Yes, I would. No, I wouldn't. Let's see. Oh.
This is an exciting race.
What do we think? What do we think? While we're waiting for the last ones to answer, do you think I would lie for my best friend? You can trust me.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Close the voting.
Great. All right. So, you know, without going into the details of who said what, you can see people got very differing views, just in a group of people here. If we go back to the presentation here, let me show you some results. This was actually done as quite a well-known survey that we use as a starting point. Percentage of respondents who said they would probably not lie in court by country looks something like this. So we've got Finland, Sweden, Norway, Germany, UK, Poland, Spain, Italy, India, Brazil, China, Russia, Venezuela, Nigeria. Okay? Any surprises? Not really. And they correlate exactly, by the way, by Transparency International's Corruption Perception Index. No surprises. By looking at this, by the way, is it true to say that Nigerians are less honest than Norwegians? Can you say that Nigerians are less honest than Norwegians? Yes or no? Your blank faces tell me, I know I'm not supposed to say yes there, but what are you trying to say here, right? No, Nigerians are not less honest than Norwegians. In fact, you shouldn't be looking at the behavior anyway. You should be looking behind the behavior, asking the big question, why? Why are Nigerians less likely to tell the truth in this situation? And then the answer is pretty simple, right? Because they have much less trust in the system, the legal system, the government, the authorities. Any third party that has power is something you fear rather than trust. I'm being very general now. Are we with me? Blue cultures have much more trust in systems, and this has a huge effect on the way that we negotiate with people. All right? Let me put up a definition of culture. If you want to take photos of this, please do this. It's quite a long one because I just want to focus on 3 words, actually. It's a complex pattern of ideas, emotions, and behaviors that are expected, reinforced, and rewarded by a group. Those 3 red words. It's not good to lie in Nigeria. Nobody goes around in Nigeria saying how great a liar they are. I've done it in Nigeria, and yes, just about everybody lied in that situation. They said I would lie. One Nigerian guy said to me, I know we come last on that graph. Yeah. But what would the graph be like if it said a percentage of respondents who said that they would lie for their friend regardless of the consequences to themselves? Who would come top of that graph? And we know that that graph would be the other way around, okay? People are doing what's expected, reinforced, and rewarded. They're doing what's expected of them, what is being reinforced, and what they feel they will be rewarded for. And here's the whole point, and relevant to negotiations, that behind the behavior there's usually a positive intention. Why is this relevant for negotiation? Let me explain why. There's a positive intention behind the action. Has anyone read this book? This is like one of the seminal books in negotiations. That it was published some years ago now. It sold very many copies. Getting to Yes, it's where I stole my title from, basically, for this. And one of the points that they make in this book, and which is used again and again, and which I use in my negotiations every day, they have a thing that says, focus on interests, not positions. Focus on interests, not positions. What that means is focus on the why, rather on the what. When we negotiate, and average negotiators, they get stuck in numbers and positions and how long, and they don't spend time getting behind why people want what they want. Why do people buy Ferraris? They buy a Ferrari, but why do they buy a Ferrari? All kinds of reasons. Some of them think it will make them happier. So what do they really want? Do they want a Ferrari or do they want happiness? Are you with me? I mean, it sounds really simple, but that's what it's about. And great negotiators are great at getting behind the behavior. Why is it you want what you want? But then you've got to know what they want. So let's have a look at some of the differences. Blue cultures follow rules, red cultures follow people. Blue, think Nordic, North America. Red, Latin Europe, Mediterranean Europe, Africa, South America. Okay? Blue cultures and red cultures. Reds are group-oriented, together. They don't like outside. No, that's not. They don't trust outsiders. Blues are much more trusting of outsiders, actually. Yeah, it's one of the reasons why we allow so many refugees into our countries. I know that's a very touchy subject. But we'll only let in our quota. We follow the rules, right? Yeah. So let's have a look at rules. Why do we have rules in the first place? Well, we have rules so we can avoid situations like this. We don't want this. Rules are about avoiding these kind of situations. We don't want that at all, right? Yeah, lucky guy. Rules. I parked my car in Oslo, a very rule-oriented society. Norwegians love, they follow rules, right? I parked my car. I thought this parking was fine. Anyone else think it's fine? It's fine, isn't it? What's wrong with this? Yeah, I'm standing on the line, right? That's what my wife said. You're standing on the line. Oh, and the manhole. Yeah, no, the manhole's not a problem. They don't need that. Yeah. Yeah. The trunk is behind the line, right? So the rule is that the trunk must be inside the box. In fact, the rule in Norway, my wife told me, was you can't have any of the black rubber on the line. It must be inside the box. It's very clear, very black and white. I thought it was fine. I left the car there. I got a ticket. I got a parking ticket. I tried to call the parking authorities to get out of this ticket. That's what Italians do. We're very good at talking. Yeah, we talk. We talk and we wear you down. We charm you, we compliment you, we threaten you, we wear you down.
Take us to the forest.
Yeah, take you to the forest. Take you for a walk in the forest. I tried to call the authorities. Listen, I'm sorry I parked on the line. I'll never do it again. I received the answer from the Norwegian. I'm very sorry, Mr. Riccardi. I know you're very frustrated, but the wheel must be inside the box. The rules must be the same for everybody. Core value number one in Norway. Rules are the same for everybody. Yeah, but my wife was sick. I had to stop the car and get her in the restaurant. I'm very sorry. I won't do it again. I understand you're frustrated, Mr. Riccardi, but the wheel must be inside the box. The rules must be the same for everybody. I know, but my wife is pregnant. We've just built a house. Mr. Riccardi, the wheel must be inside the box. There's no moving. There's no flex. And then he said to me, Mr. Riccardi, are you Italian? I am Italian. Do you like football? I do like football. I thought we got a breakthrough, yeah? He looked at me and he said to me, Mr. Riccardi, it's just like football. The ball must be over the line. Fantastic. Great explanation. This guy is not moving. Are you with me? Why? Because it's fair. It's fair. That's the contract. That's the rules. That's the contract. When we sign a contract, that's what we say we do. We don't flex too much. The contract's sacred. Red cultures think different. Contract, we signed it today. It's valid today. In a year's time, we'll have a look at it again. Yeah, we'll talk about it. You see, I'm on holiday in the south of Italy looking for a parking place. Impossible. I see a traffic warden. She can help me. But she'll help me if she likes me. Yeah. If she owes me, fears me, or likes me, she'll help me. That's how it works in red cultures. Owe, fear, like. That's very useful in negotiation. If you fear me, owe me, or like me, you'll help me. She doesn't fear me, she doesn't owe me anything, but I might get her to like me. I go over to her, now I speak Napolitano. She's very impressed by the fact that I speak Napolitano. I'm not from there. Where did you learn to speak Napolitano? I said, from my father. Where's your father from? A village called Forino. She says, I'm from Forino. No, yeah. 4 minutes, 5 minutes, I'm talking to her, charming her. My wife, my Norwegian, blue Norwegian wife, is in the car looking at me going, what the hell is he doing there? I'll tell you what I'm doing. It's called investment in a future problem. That's what I'm negotiating. I'm investing in her for a future problem. After 5 minutes, she says, what do you want? I said, is there a parking place, a public place? She says, there is, but don't park your car there. Why not? It's too expensive. 40 euro, very expensive. What shall I do? She goes, park your car over there. I will help you. Park over there. Where? And she points to a sign. Yeah. Now, I've been in Norway 20 years, so this is a bit like, come on. She says, no, don't pay 40 euro. If you park your car there, I give you a parking fine for 30 euro. You will save yourself 10 euro, she said. What a... Unbelievable. Isn't that amazing? You can look at this in two ways. You can either say, no wonder Italy is so messed up, or the south of Italy, may I add, right? You know, typical Napoli, corruption, mafia, garbage, no wonder. Yeah, I've heard, I know. Or you can look at this and say, okay, what are Italians and Spaniards and Iranians and Nigerians, and I could go on. What are they good at, or what do they need? They're looking for relationships. They're looking for people they feel they can trust, who they can get mutual trust from. They're looking for people who will be flexible with them, because life is about flexibility. And you need to communicate this in your communications from day one. You build the relationship. Now, we all build relationships anyway. That's why we're here, right? But in red cultures, in many red cultures, especially the Asian cultures, nothing will happen until they feel they have a relationship. You're spending time for a future potential need or problem. And blues haven't really got that. I worked with a Chinese colleague some years back, and she said to me, you guys in Europe, you don't have customer relations, you have customer lists. Can you see that, yeah? Spending time, all right? Blue cultures watch the clock, red cultures watch the relationship, right? The problem with blue cultures when they negotiate is that they seem to be looking at the clock. And the clock ticks away because we've got deadlines, we've got budgets, we've got people to see, we've got a flight to catch, we've got the... And without quite realizing it, blue cultures are putting themselves under unnecessary pressure, something that red cultures will often capitalize on. They will often not seem in any hurry whatsoever to reach an agreement. And they will often use this against blue cultures to their advantage. Things take time. Things take time. You may send an email and not get a reply. Why not? Probably because they don't know you yet. Or they don't fear you, owe you, or like you yet. Are you with me? And if none of those are in place, you may not be getting replies. Blue cultures control feelings, red cultures display them. Now this is interesting. This is interesting. Why is it interesting? Because I've worked in my time with a company called Huthwaite International, who are behavioral scientists. They watch people's behaviors. And they've studied skilled negotiators over many years and come up with certain behaviors that they've observed that skilled negotiators have. And a skilled negotiator is a negotiator who is good at winning, but makes the other person feel good too, if that makes sense. This classic win-win, yeah? So win-lose doesn't count. It's I get what I want a little bit more than you do, but you're quite happy with it too. To put it in simple words, skilled negotiators. And what they find is, interestingly enough, is that skilled negotiators, they show their feelings and share their internal thoughts 4 times as much as average negotiators. So all this stuff you see on the TV about people being cold, calm, collected, and doing this when they negotiate, rubbish. Skilled negotiators actually share, they show, this is what I want, this is how I feel about it. Listen, I have to be very honest with you. They've got a lot of honesty, actually. They don't show their bank accounts, but they show a lot, much more than you think. Now, what's the effect of showing? It basically connects you to people. But then again, culturally, we've got different ideas of how much you should show. This guy is a Swede. He's a football manager, used to manage Iceland. This guy's an Italian, used to manage the Italian national football team. There was a European Championship recently. I just want to show you there are 2 different ways that they express feelings during a match. Now, this is taken from Norwegian TV, so the writing is in Norwegian, but I put in some text in between so you understand what's going on. Basically, it's important parts during the game, and they show their feelings in slightly different ways, if you have a look at this. We need a bit more sound, I think. Okay, right, we get the idea. My apologies to my fellow Spanish. We were just relieved, that's all. We were just relieved when they scored. That's not joy, that's relief, yes. But you see, and again, I know I'm generalizing here, but you know, the Nordics and the Southerners, they've got very different ideas about expressing feelings. The Nordics will tend to control, because that's what's expected, reinforced and rewarded. However, the Reds will often struggle to read those body language signals. Are you with me? And I'm not saying that red is better at all. No, 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 no. Reds will often be too much in their feelings, yeah? And we've got different scales, you see. We've got very different scales when it comes to feelings. I mean, they both go from 0 to 10. But in the Nordic scale, 10 looks like a 4 on the red scale. Are you with me? Then you get all kinds of very interesting misinterpretations. You feel you're sharing your feelings and it's being misinterpreted both ways. The other thing they found about behavioral skilled negotiators was that 21% of the time was spent seeking information, asking questions. Average negotiators do it half the time, in fact less than half the time. They ask questions. In fact, what they're doing, they're trying to get to the why. Can you see that? They're trying to find out the why, okay? They spend 17, but these guys are very, very precise. 17.2% of the time testing understanding. They're trying to get under the other person's skin. Again, they're looking for the why. Sorry, I'll go back for people who are taking photos. They're looking for the why rather than just the what. This is very, very important. Now, here we have a cross-cultural challenge as well, because cultures have got different ideas about how close you can get, right? Blue cultures prefer personal space, red cultures personal contact, right? The first thing I had to learn when I moved to Norway, where I live now, was this space thing. It's the same in Germany and Denmark and Sweden. When you stand in a line, you've got to have space. That distance is very important, right? That distance is even more important, right? Yeah, so, and you can't mess around with this. I like to stand behind Norwegians, and I love doing this to them, you know, and they get really stressed out, and so they get a reaction. It's really quite funny. This is how, you know, we have this space, and that's not just physical space, that's psychological space. Can I ask personal questions about you? Can I ask about your family? Can I really ask those why questions? Why do you really want this? Could you share with me your thoughts, right? This is something that the Nordics tend to be a bit careful about because of the space. I was in India before Christmas last year. Look how they stand in lines. I mean, it's a very different place. All right, so he seems to be enjoying it the most there, that one there, yeah? So, beach in Norway. Space again. You know, we're looking for the space. The asking why, getting under people's skin in these cultures is actually very, very difficult. It doesn't feel right. I shouldn't be going in that area. I shouldn't be asking difficult questions. My father looked at this. My father, he concluded that Scandinavians must be very clever. They must be very clever people to be able to sit exactly the same distance from each other. It's incredible, look. Without measuring, it's fantastic, look. Incredible. Even the dog knows where to sit. It's fantastic. It's not better, but it's different. What's easier is contact with people you don't know. It's dead easy. And I know I've been in Norway because when I visit places like Barcelona, people are much more eye contact. They're closer. They speak. They interact. And I know I've been in Norway a long time because I'm like, oh, he's talking to me. Okay? Brazil. We sent a German on holiday here. Can you see the German where he's sitting? Dead easy to spot. All right, there he is. Yeah, okay. Imagine if you'd moved to Finland, they need even more space. This is the country that gave us Nokia connecting people. Fantastic, eh? Amazing. So, another thing that creates distance as well is hierarchy and status. This is quite important when we negotiate with people, being aware of hierarchy in relationship to each other. The more north you go, the less relevant that becomes. We talk about small power distance, and we talk about large power distance. Some of you may have heard these terms before, right? So Nordic cultures, you know, the Scandinavia, North Americans, relatively speaking, I'm talking world basis. Germany is often considered as having a lot of hierarchy. You don't really, not by world standards. Nobody in Northern Europe has hierarchy by world standards anymore. Not really, okay? You need to be going to places like China, Japan, Korea, Philippines, or the Riccardi family that I grew up in is also like this, okay? And just to give you some sort of benchmarks on here, again, I live in Norway, one of the flattest societies in the world, actually. Probably the only one flatter is Iceland. This is a magnificent picture. I have to explain this picture just to show you what flat really is. We're in 1973. There's an oil crisis. There's an embargo by the OPEC countries. You can't get fuel. So Norwegians have been told to save fuel. Catch the bus or catch the train. Don't drive your car. Fine. They're all on the train this morning in November, including the guy in the cap on the left. This is the King of Norway. King of Norway on the train. The King of Norway with all his people. No bodyguards on the train. All right, I'll go there too. Isn't that cool? Amazing and unique. That's flat. I showed this. I ran a course in Moscow. Any Russians here? Any Russians? Russians look at this, don't believe it for a second, do you? That's unbelievable. You know, the guys in Moscow, they said, oh, very good Norwegian propaganda. I like, very good. Fantastic, huh? Yeah. Distance, status as well. This is going around the social media at the moment in Norway. At the top, you have Mr. Trump, and at the bottom, you have the Norwegian Prime Minister, Erna Solberg, at home. Two slightly different home situations, right? But the point about it, yeah, it's amazing, isn't it, yeah? Or how about this one here? You got President Obama visiting the Japanese, sorry for the spelling mistake, Japanese Emperor Akihito here. Bowing out of respect. Now that's pretty difficult when you are you're nearly 2 meters tall and your counterpart is a lot small. Can you see that? And Obama was hugely criticized at home for doing this, for bowing to another country. Made all the more significant and exaggerated because he's so tall, right? But when you're working in these Asian cultures, respect and status are absolute factors when you negotiate with people. You have to show respect. You have to show deference. You have to be bow-like often. You don't literally bow, but you have to kind of be that kind of bow-like attitude. You must never underestimate. A big mistake the companies make often is they send a younger person to meet a very old senior person in China. I wonder why they don't get through, right? Or even cause offense. Being aware of this status. Another thing that status does is your ability to be able to admit weakness. I rather like this survey done by a Canadian researcher. It's important for managers to have precise answers to most of the questions that people ask them about their work. What she's looking for is how easy or difficult it is to admit you don't know something. Because what you're doing in negotiations, you're trying to discover, you're trying to get information, trying to find out why, including any potential needs, weaknesses, or problems. The why is needs, weaknesses, or problems. When you negotiate, you're looking for needs. Guys exhibiting here, they're looking for people's needs, or they should be looking for people's needs. Why do you want to travel to Turkey? Why would you like an adventure holiday in Norway? What is it you're really looking for, right? And this graph clearly shows that as you wander south and east, it becomes very difficult, almost impossible, to admit you don't know something. Which makes it very difficult to get behind the skin of, under the skin of a person. Imagine you're talking and trying to build a relationship and sell or negotiate with a Japanese counterpart. It's very difficult to break through that mask. And some of you may have experienced that already. There's only one way to do it, and that is the relationship. It's time, money, expense. And if you're not prepared to invest time and money in that relationship, you're probably not going to get through. And a lot of Western, let's use that word, or blue companies, they dedicate far too little time and money into relationship building and negotiating with Asian counterparts, yeah? And are often frustrated that they don't get through. It requires a lot more time, introduction from a third party who is a local agent in the country as a starting point, a bare minimum, right? There's a model out there that I like to use when I run my workshops. It's not mine, it's done by someone called Richard Lewis, who's a British cultural expert. It's quite useful. You'll see there's another color there. Red, blue, and yellow. I've already talked about the red and blue quite a lot, some of the differences there. If you'd like to take photographs, the next one is quite an important one. So get your phones ready. Okay, so this is quite a useful model. Richard, I know Richard well. He's very happy for me to share this all over. The more the merrier, he says. Yes. Here's his table of general behavior. God, I think I'm going to have to take a picture of you taking a picture, actually. It's fantastic. It's great. Yeah. People enjoying my lecture. Yeah, fantastic. If you want more, just Google Richard Lewis Culture Active Model. There's loads of information there, which sums up a lot of the things that I've said today. Now, the model is it's been criticized for being simplistic. Richard Lewis says thank you when people say that. I spent a lot of time making it simple. It is simple. I use various models in my work. They're all good. They all have their strengths and their weaknesses. This is the one I keep coming back to because it's one of those 80-20 things. You know, you get most of it here. I strongly encourage you to look it up and use it in your work. Like I said, a lot of what I've said is actually in here, systematized. But I want to spend a little bit of time before I wrap up on the yellow, which I've said least about, okay? Yellow being Asia. And it's a behavior style. It's not political color, it's not, you know, anything else. It's a behavior style, all right? Typical behaviors. Diplomacy over truth. Maintaining a sense of harmony, indirectness, politeness at all times. Makes it difficult to say no. Makes it difficult to commit. Makes it difficult to reject. Makes it difficult to say, we're not interested, thank you. Perhaps you should try somewhere else. Makes it really, really difficult, yeah? Never confronts, must not lose face, you know, trying to expose any needs or weaknesses. It's extremely difficult to break through that. And again, I just want to stress, if you are going to have sales meetings or negotiations or any form of interactions with your Asian counterparts, if you're not prepared to put time, money and relationship building in there, you may well be very disappointed. Blues expect it to happen too quickly. Yes, question. How long would you say to expect to would you say, that's a really good question actually, if you could say it a little bit.
Well, how long would you say to invest in a relationship like this? Because I'm working with Asian market and I'm trying to get new clients. Yeah. I've been working for 4 years now. Yeah. Where are you from, by the way? From Holland, yeah. It's a typical blue question. How long should I wait? That's a blue question. They want to type, you know, what's the deadline? What's the deadline? Yeah, there is no deadline. What I can tell you, the only hope I can give you is that suddenly, when you least expect it, after lots and lots of time and money and investment, it happens. I know. It's a bit like waiting for death, you know. So. No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Pellegrino, second question.
Yes, please.
On this one is, do you have to stop then? If it happens, are you done, or do you still have to maintain that relationship?
No, you're never done actually. It could always pick it up again. You know, on a serious note, all that time and money you've spent is spent on building a relationship. You have a contact. That's all good. You put it in the bank like stocks and shares. You might be able to take it out later on in life. It's all good. You may not get the deal, but you haven't lost anything. That's a very important point as well. Yeah?
Another question here.
Hello, my name is Isabella. What about Arab countries, Arab cultures? I missed it on the colors. Oh, yeah. It's there. Thank you.
Here. Well, as you can see, they're red-yellow, right? So they will fall mostly around here. That red-yellow line is the most, so it's up here. That red-yellow line is the most relationship-intensive line on that triangle. It sounds kind of crazy, but these cultures here, they're along that red line, they use their intuition a lot. Does it feel right? Do I like you? Can I trust you? Can I gain from you? Will you give me fantastic discounts? Will you be flexible with rules? Can you help me import? And you know, it takes a long time. It's a relationship. The yellow-red line is the most heavenly relationship line there.
Yeah, not reliable at all in business. I mean, they don't like to pay, and they don't like to keep promises.
Are you red or blue yourself?
I'm Polish.
I've worked a lot in the Middle East. I think the key word with the red-yellow line is you have to lower your expectations, and you need a lot of patience. Yeah. When you say they never pay, I've heard this before. They don't pay. I had a client who wasn't paying as well. He wasn't in the Middle East. He was in India, actually. He wasn't paying. And in the end, I said, listen, I won't say his name. Listen, I understand if you can't pay. Business must be going a bit bad for you recently. It was a risky thing to say, yeah? You know, the economy's quite tight at the moment. If you can't afford to pay me at the moment, I totally understand. Let me know when you can. And he said, no, I didn't say business was going bad. Well, since you're not paying me, I said, something must be going on. I've waited quite a long time now. No, there's nothing wrong with our business. And then I received payment a week later, yeah? But it was a risky strategy. By then, I didn't care anymore. But, yeah.
I cooperate with them, and it's difficult.
How long have you been working with them?
Like a year, something.
How long?
Yeah, so not too long, but I have experienced that a lot.
Yeah.
And it's not about me, right? Just to make it clear. But also, like, people I cooperate with, my colleagues from work, they have, like, similar experiences.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it's not about the Arabs. Like.
No, I mean, yeah, it is tricky. The relationship is my only question is how strong is that relationship? Because red and yellow cultures, when they know each other, they do pay each other.
I think we get an addition here.
Hi, I'm from Arab. I'm very sorry to say what you have
Where are you from?
Introduce yourself.
Dubai.
Please say hello.
Okay, I was talking about the people in Dubai
you
too.
are talking about the people in Dubai, but we are very cooperative and we stand with the people. Even if you have any case for they are not paying you 100%, you will get your payment. Might in terms of
they tell you.
It takes time. It takes time. It takes time. I'm sorry to say, it takes time, but definitely you will get your money.
I think you should have coffee together. Yeah.
No, but this is great. This is brilliant, actually, because what you're bringing up here, and it's interesting, you will definitely get paid. All right? You will definitely get paid. That's why the relationship, again, the blues, I'm no agenda, we tend to focus on the transaction too much. You know, we get frustrated by the transaction. You didn't pay. Reds will take that as an offense as well. You don't trust me to pay. I said I would pay. I'll pay you. They get offended by the fact that we don't trust them, actually. And you get into a vicious circle. So what I always do with my clients in red countries, first of all, if I want them to pay, what month are we in now? November. If I want them to pay by March, I say I want payment by January. So you put buffer zones in. You lower your expectations. You kind of think a little bit strategically in a way. But again, the solution to it is a good, trusting, mutual relationship. That's why I asked, how long have you been working with them? Do they know you? What do you know about them? Have they invited you anywhere? Is it a male-female dynamic going on here as well? There are lots of factors going on, yeah? Could be a male-female dynamic.
Another question here, Pellegrino.
Yeah.
Hello. First of all, I wanted to say I really enjoyed this. It's been really interesting and entertaining. And I wanted to ask, do you feel that the lines are getting increasingly blurred, like between cultures, between reds and blues? I mean, you coming from an Italian background, having grown up in the UK, living in Norway as well. What's your view on that?
Well, without a doubt, the more exposure we have to one another, the more used we are to each other, right? And globalization means one thing, that we're using the similar products. But that doesn't mean we're thinking the same. So I think about this a lot, actually. Sure, we're more exposed to each other, yeah? I can go online and see what it looks like in Zimbabwe. I can do that easily. But can I think like a Zimbabwean? Do I know what they think like? When we have a problem or a conflict, will we try to solve it in a similar way? I don't think so. But sure, send someone to Barcelona for 10 years and get a group of people from all over the world to work in Barcelona together, you will get a lot of merging, for sure. But deep down inside, they sit quite powerfully. Some values sit really powerfully inside us. Yeah? Like, for example, this is really interesting, when we pay. Right? Good question, yeah.
One over there. How do I get to you? Like this.
Great.
So I work predominantly in all the blue areas. So I'm from the UK and we work with Amsterdam, Germany. So what would you say is the best tool if you're working with similar kind of people for negotiation?
The best tool in similar, when you don't have the cultural barriers, that's another presentation basically. But basically you're looking for the why, all right? You're trying to uncover potential problems. And you're brave enough to ask difficult, direct questions that target potential problems. What you do when you ask a question which targets a potential problem in another person is you're setting off chemical reactions in their brain which they're trying to solve. Example, it happened to me once. I've got 3 kids. I went to a shop to buy a baby chair, you know? And long story short, the price ranges from whatever, €100 to 400. I don't know. Which one do you want? And I was going for the sort of mid-range to lower mid-range. And then the chair that was a lot more expensive, I said, why would someone pay money for this? And the woman in the shop said, well, you've got a lot of, it's a lot of padding around the head, and I put my son in there, and my son was like, oh, I don't like it. And I said, no, he's not comfortable there. He doesn't like that at all. And then the woman in the shop said to me, sir, did you know that most car accidents are side impact crashes? What's going on in your head now? All I can see is my son doing this. Click, and his neck's broken. Which chair did I buy? Are you with me? So she didn't realize she asked a question that revealed a potential problem in my head that I hadn't thought of, and lets me think about it. It's called a seed of doubt. You plant seeds of doubt in people. My wife does it all the time with me. Constantly planting little seeds of doubt in my head, and just leaves me alone. Just lets me think about it, and it grows.
An Arab question here.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Please allow me to ask one more question.
Of course.
Thank you very much. The most important for the negotiation time, you ask for the pricing. If the other person is not ready to reduce the prices, what is the other sector we should look on it? Well, either in terms of terms and condition of the contract. What is the other key factor we should, if he's not ready to reduce the cost, or he's not ready to negotiate the pricing, this is the fix. I cannot do anything if we say.
Well, I never believe in a no, first of all. No doesn't exist, and I don't encourage people to say no, that's impossible. Impossible is a word you should never use in negotiations, but Reds use it quite a lot. Impossible, yeah? Basically, when it comes to pricing, people are willing to pay the price that you have a price, and you have a problem that you're avoiding. You with me? It's why people pay more money for certain products. So when they say they can't go anymore on price, usually what it means is they haven't truly understood what they're buying yet. So you've got to work even harder to expose what they're really buying. What needs are being covered by this product? Because basically no doesn't always mean no, as you know now.
Pellegrino,
yes.
We've got 5 minutes left, so I'd like to negotiate with you a little.
Come on then.
There's questions in the audience.
Yeah.
You've got your presentation, which is not finished yet.
It's fine, but I'm flexible.
And there's some questions in the Slido app.
Yeah, go for it.
Shall we do the Slido app?
Yeah.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, you see 4 questions here. You can upvote them by clicking the liking symbol. The first question is, Pellegrino, what books do you recommend?
Cross-cultural. Unfortunately, there isn't one book. But go and buy a book by Richard Lewis, not because I know him, but it's simple, it's good. There's a great book by someone called Erin Meyer. She writes in the Harvard Business Review. Erin Meyer, she's German. Has just come with a book called The Culture Map. There's no other book called The Culture Map. Easy to find. Very good book. Okay. Which looks at different national behaviors. Another one you can look at is a book called Kiss, Bow, Shake Hands. Kiss, Bow, Shake Hands. And it's like a big block of book with about 60 countries, typical do's and don'ts in different countries. Kiss, bow, shake hands.
Thank you. Next question. Do I adapt to the other person's culture, or do I expect him or her to accept mine?
I get this question a lot. First you ask yourself, who needs who the most? Who needs who the most? And whoever needs the most, they adapt. But in a real world, I always try to adapt anyway. Again, my wife taught me one of the greatest wisdoms I've ever had. It came from my Norwegian wife. We had an argument once, a big argument, and we had a silent treatment. And after 2 days of silence, she said to me, "Why are you giving me the silent treatment?" I said, "Because I'm right." And she looked at me and said, "I have a question for you. Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?" And it was a great question. Focus on the happy. Adapt to them if you can. Don't get stuck on who should adapt to who. Make the first move. And by the way, the good negotiators make first moves. They don't ask how much do you want. They tell them how much they're willing to pay because they've done their research. It shows power in a negotiation. You say how much you're willing to pay. Yes.
Very good answer. How can I improve communication with my employees, international employees?
How can I improve my communication? I say to people, listen, first you need to create an environment where it's safe to express your opinions without offense. I thought your discussion was great because it was honest, open, and you said what was on your mind. Those are the best discussions, actually. Create an environment at work where the rule is we're allowed to say anything, even stupid things, because it needs to come out. And then we take them and say, right, what's behind what you said? It's open, honest discussions with someone who can moderate it. Yeah? Because what you get out is people's perceptions and what they really think. And then you can address it. You can't address problems you're not aware of. Yeah.
And how do you address hierarchy when in mixed teams?
Hierarchy in mixed teams. Well, the thing that people forget often is that it's not the nationalities that come first. When you work as a team, it's the team culture that should come first. So part of the team building is agreeing on how we deal with hierarchy. And that may be small, medium, large. Again, the team decides what culture they want, yeah? One thing I can say is that bosses out there in the world who like a lot of hierarchy, there's one big negative aspect of hierarchy. It reduces honesty. The more hierarchy, the more fear. It reduces honesty. And honesty is always a barrier to any effective communication. Yeah.
That's good advice at the end of your presentation. And the last question, what practical advice would you give event agencies organizing worldwide conferences?
What advice would you give to an event agency? I think back to this thing about becoming more globalized. Don't underestimate the cultural differences. I don't go out there saying that, oh no, you're going to work with the Chinese, it's going to be really difficult. It's not, it's fine. But don't underestimate the cultural differences either. Just because we're buying the same brands and you know, we're sort of logging on to similar social media, and that it doesn't mean that we have internal values which are the same. Don't underestimate it. People, you know, just because we wear jeans and drink Coca-Cola. Yes. Okay.
Thank you. Will you be around for more questions?
I'll be around for another hour or so before I have to sort of head off, and I'm very happy to speak to people. Thanks for sitting here and staying. That's always good. I hope it was useful. Thanks.
Pellegrino Riccardi.
Okay.